Welcome back, fight fans. I am Gareth Morgan of What Culture Combat, and today we're going to run through our pretty much daily MMA news update. And the first topic of the day, it's a pretty big one. Conor McGregor has had an interview with Ariel Helwani. He had it on the Ariel Helwani MMA show. That got aired last night. It was a pre-recorded interview, but a lot of facts got brought up, really, and a lot of interesting tidbits were brought up by Conor. I've noted a few down because there was a lot. It was a 50-minute interview, but we've got everything from him focusing on himself. He wants to focus on himself now, not others from now on. He wants the intention to be inwards, not outwards. That's quite different for Conor. Obviously, he's a guy who likes to berate his opponents normally. So yeah, he seems like he's taking all that kind of venom that he normally spews outwards, and he's kind of turning that focus inwards onto himself and seeing how he can improve himself. Sounds like a different man, apparently. He also mentioned he praised the UFC for helping him come back. It sounds a little bit like he's sucking up to Dana because he's pretty much his moneymaker right now. It's quite nice though that he's not attacking his owners, attacking the company and anything like that. He also said that he wants to do better for his fans because they deserve better. Again, it was odd. He seemed quite humble throughout this interview. He was settled. If you saw the interview a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago or something on the Mac Life, he looked very edgy, very kind of darting all around the place. He had quite an anxious kind of energy. But on this one, he was sat down. He had his nice kind of silk Reebok tracksuit on, very relaxed. And he was quite collected with his answering of the questions. It was quite nice. But he also answered a lot about the obvious sexual harassment allegations that he had against him. He outright rebuked them. Again, quite calm. He didn't question Ariel Helwani for asking the question in the first place. He just kind of said, "Come on, dude, like, would I?" kind of thing. And he constantly was looking over his shoulder to check with his representatives and everything like that. But he kind of cleared that up. He also mentioned how the Cowboy fight seems like a bit of a crowd-friendly fight. He said that he was the first guy he called out, so rightfully he should go to the front of the queue. He just seems really measured and really kind of in control of himself. But there was a few glorious nuggets later on in the interview when he mentioned how much he thought he'd be earning in this fight. He mentioned that he thought altogether, after sponsorships, all the back end stuff, all the things that probably the actual fight purse doesn't encompass, it's all the stuff outside of that. He mentioned that he'd be earning $80 million. Let that sink in for a minute. $80 million. And Ariel Helwani said this in the interview. He said that's probably more than all the MMA fighters currently fighting now put together haven't earned that much money from a fight. Put that into context for you, see? So it's mind-boggling, a mind-boggling amount of money. Cowboy's going to get nowhere near that. But just to put that into further context, for the Khabib fight, the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, the UFC 229 one, he only earned $50 million for that one. So it just shows that there's a demand for him to come back, 30 million extra demand for him to come back. Also mentioned in the interview was he's interested in a rematch with Floyd Mayweather, obviously because money. And he thinks that's going to happen fairly soon, sooner rather than later. Was that the thing that Dana White and Floyd Mayweather were discussing, obviously after they had that handshake at the basketball game? Was that the thing they were discussing? We will see. And then the last awesome tidbit was he then mentioned that Manny Pacquiao may be a possibility for him going forward, having a fight with him. He mentioned something about him being signed and then kind of backed up a little bit. So that was interesting. That'll be a fight I want to see. He did mention also wanting to be a world champion. He thinks he's going to be a world champion pretty soon. Then Ariel Helwani said, "Oh, you're going to need a lot of fights for that." And he said, no, I'm not going to need to. He also had a really good line where he said, "They think I'm toast, but I'm still the bread," which might go down in history as one of his great ones again. But yeah, fantastic interview. Go and check it out if you can. It's on YouTube. Really insightful interview. And yeah, we'll just see how things turn out for him at UFC 246. Next piece of news involves Demetrius Johnson. He's set to challenge for the ONE Championship, the ONE Flyweight Championship against Adriano Moraes in April. That's a massive fight again. Demetrius Johnson, probably one of the greatest of all time, the greatest of all time. I'm good at English, can you tell? He's had an incredible streak over the last 18 fights. He's only lost one of those in the last 18 bouts, and that was against Henry Cejudo. I can't say his name, I just messed it up a lot in the last video, and I apologize. But yeah, Henry Cejudo, he lost that fight by split decision. So again, it was thinned hair fractures kind of thing. It was tiny little fractions, not fractures. That's what happens when your bone breaks. Yeah, so he's on a hell of a streak, and he's coming up against Adriano Moraes, who himself has got a pretty good record. He's only lost 3 fights out of his 21 fight record, and that fight, all those fights have been by a split decision again. So as a guy who can handle himself and he can go the distance, so I think this is going to be a bit of a war. It's going to be great to see Mighty Mouse back in action again. But Moraes hasn't actually defended the belt for about 12 months. So he's held the belt for about 12 months, but he's not had to defend it. So, make of it as you will. I think we may see Demetrius Johnson win that belt, but you're obviously going to hold me to that now. But yeah, that's my prediction, so whatever. Okay, our next story involves Anthony Pettis, who is planning to sue USADA after claiming that a drug test bottle cut his hand prior to UFC 241. If you didn't know this by now, he took on Nate Diaz in that fight. It's quite a fight, a bit of a war. And yeah, he went the full 5 rounds, and it was a war. It was a bloody war, and he lost, sadly, by decision. But yeah, he claims that before that fight took place, he had to take a urine sample, obviously, because that's what you have to do. They used to test people before the fights. And that first sample was classed as too diluted, so he had to do it again. And then when he did it the second time, he cut himself. He cut his hand on the bottle, the bottle fractured, the fractured bottle, broken bottle, whatever it was. He cut his hand, and that was required to be glued shut and then taped up, and then he had to take the tape back off before the fight because it wasn't regulation tape. So a lot of things up in the air with that one. He actually claimed that during the fight itself, it affected him so much that he claimed he gave a bit of an amateur performance, just trying to keep himself in the fight. He wasn't going for it. He couldn't fight to his full potential because he was worried about his hand cutting open again. And anybody who's ever thrown a punch, anybody who's ever thrown a punch knows that you kind of need it to be tight shut. And if you've got a nice big slash there that needs to be glued shut and you're trying to keep your hand, you're not going to be able to generate power. So understandably, he's claiming that he's going to sue USADA for that issue, that thing that happened. And his manager, Abe Kawa, I think I pronounced that right, also claims that the UFC and the bottle manufacturer will be named in the suit. All this came on the Ariel Awani MMA show again. And he even was quoted as saying, I gave USADA, this is Pettis saying this, he quoted that, I gave USADA a chance to make it right, but right now we're going through the court. I've got to sue him. So, here's what it is. He's going to have to sue USADA because he feels like it impeded him in his fight, which is fair enough. Like, it feels like it gave him a handicap. So, yeah, if you want to sue him, you sue away. We'll see how that one unfolds over the next couple of weeks and months. Obviously, he's got his fight at UFC 246 again against Diego Ferreira. We'll see how he comes out of that one as well. Diego Ferreira actually has the longest winning streak on that card, which is quite impressive. He's got 5-match winning streak. Then next, all right, this is quite nice. This is the story we're going to end on today, because this is it's kind of a sweet thing. Donald Cerrone, if you didn't know, he quite likes Budweiser. He's actually sponsored by Budweiser. It's his favourite beer in all the world, okay? And it was quite cool, because on Instagram, when the fight first got announced over Thanksgiving, he put a picture up of the Proper 12 whiskey and the Budweiser bottle kind of going head to head. So it's kind of his trademark thing, the Budweiser bottle. But yeah, he did that, and he's also sponsored by Budweiser. So Budweiser have actually come out over Fight Week this week, and on Monday, it was announced on Instagram that he's had a can made in his honor, a Budweiser can. On the can, it has a picture of Cowboy with his signature white cowboy hat on it, and it's also got all of his records kind of labeled onto the side of the can as well, which is really cool. It has every record from 23 wins, 16 finishes, 18 post-fight bonuses, 20 knockdowns, and 7 KOs via kicks. All of those records down the side. Nice commemorative can. It was really sweet. If you actually watch the video on Instagram, he seems quite humbled by the entire kind of experience, and he actually said in the video, he said, I want all of the blue-collar American working class people to know that I'm out there fighting for them. And he also mentioned that he's out there working every day. It's what he does. He wants them to know there is hope, and he is out there just like they are. So it was super sweet. It was a super sweet moment, and again, it just puts more fuel into the camp kind of back in Cerrone, because he's just kind of the working class blue-collar guy. And Conor seems like this returning villain at this point. That's the odd kind of narrative that's being painted and kind of span in the build-up to this fight. You'd think it'd be the kind of Conor show. We're all here to see Conor. Conor's got all the fans. He's bringing in all the money, but he's not. It's like he's the returning kind of mega star, the commercial star, and Cerrone's kind of the guy for us, like the working class guy, and it's such an interesting dynamic. They've not actually gone head to head and like berate each other with like comments and abuse and tirades, anything like that, which is quite unique for a Conor fight. So yeah, I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, it's just super sweet to see that kind of stuff happening. And I think he'll appreciate that a lot more than the millions that he's probably going to get to go quad bike and paintball, but he's probably going to like that too. Yeah, I digress. So, thank you very much for tuning in to the MMA news today. If you feel like letting us know about any of the stories that we've seen today, any comments on Demetrius Johnson challenging again for the flyweight title, or how you feel about the Conor interview, maybe you have a few opinions on that, and maybe you're as unsettled as I am with the calmness of Conor, and you might all think it's hot air. You might think that he's probably going to get sparked out by Cerrone. He might get knocked out, might get tapped out. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I have been Gareth Morgan from What Culture Combat, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.